Alright. I have here. I'm late. What have I missed?
Nothing.
Alright.
Just talking about if the hit or the tough feat should give hit die to work with Syric's level one rule.
Hmm. Hmm.
The
I think
answer, it should still be no because we have so many effects that already scale hit dice, and multiple scaling hit dice is going to be extremely bad. The fact that tough doesn't deal hit dice is actually what makes it better, because it's a lot easier for us to balance several effects, and it also makes it so that way, because this is just if you give it hit die, it's just going to be blanket taken by anyone with a animal companion, and the point of tough was that so it couldn't be taken by him.
I think if it really needed to buff tough, you wouldn't add hit die, but you'd rather just give it like +2 HP per hit die rolled on a short rest. But even that, like, it already
I
has a bunch
think
of extra benefits.
it's already a really strong feat. It doesn't need to be buffed. Changing scaling to level to scaling to hit dice would give him essentially +4 HP at level 1 instead of +2. Which is why it's set to level, not hit dice. Yeah, hit dice and levels are not the same thing in this case.
No, for players they are different because you get one additional hit die. But for companions, it's literally the same.
Pretty sure companions have 2 hit dice or
No,
3 hit dice,
one.
depending on the
No,
companion.
And Whimscard even like the scale even have -1. At third level they have 2, and they only get 1 per level up
See,
of
an
your
Allosaurus has
class.
3d10.
So it literally doesn't change anything for companions.
It does for the ones that already have specific abilities that already give them bonuses to their hit dice that they can take.
Okay,
There are
apparently
several
They just
companions
get
already in the
tough.
game that do that.
Yes, they just get tough feats. Like they don't get plus HP per level. They just get a tough feat.
Okay, apparently the wording for what we were discussing was actually off. We're just asking if we should change the wording so that tough benefits the additional hit die at level 1.
Yes, which would just give +2 HP. That's it. And also make it much easier to track, because you just add HP to a hit dice instead of manually adding a different amount.
I'm pretty sure the character sheets automatically add tough anyway, so we wouldn't need to manually add it.
Then the wording needs to be changed to reflect that it's already what is happening.
I mean, why would the wording need to change to reflect that?
If it's per hit dice, then it needs to be a different wording.
Well, it's not
If
per hit
it's per
dice.
level, then why is it per level if it's the only effect that does it? Every other effect that has HP that's per hit dice.
Not everyone.
Origins, enchants. There are a few other features, faction benefits.
Let's see. Got this. Just trying to find a thing. Interesting. Okay.
I also don't see how adding 4 HP would suddenly break everything. But that's
Because
just
you're
me.
not just directly adding 4 HP. When you tie stuff to hit
That's
dice,
it.
there are several other unintended effects.
Right, sure, but companions are still not affected because
Yes,
they
they
are tied
are.
to your class
They-
level, not to your character level.
No,
You
it
cannot
would give
No, they're
increase.
to,
not. Animal companions are tied to hit dice.
Yes, and your in their hit dice is tied to your ranger level or your artificer level
not fully.
or the level. If there are feats that increase that, that is a different talk.
No, it depends on the animal companion type, how much
Yeah.
HD they have. For example, the dinosaurs tend to have 3 dice, while the giant spider and a couple others have 2 dice. So it does vary.
I do also
Then it's a
recall
more
a
of a nerf.
prior ruling about how it wasn't like that big of a deal, I think, but like it was a thing that animal companions couldn't take the tough feat because they use hit die and don't technically have class. They don't technically have levels,
Hmm.
so the tough feat
Yes.
doesn't work on them. Which
And that was intended because they
Yeah.
also added benefits of having the tough feat.
Giant spider is literally the only one that has 2d10, like 2 hit dice.
although
Literally the only one.
the scale collar companion base
The
stat
scale
has
color
2.
also has 2, yes. That was mentioned. Which makes the tough weaker for them.
Why are you wanting this change so badly?
For consistency. Everything else mentions hit dice. And now we have one feat that mentions levels. Like, we can just, if you don't want companions to have them, just deny that. That's it.
So, like, I'm not fully against the change, but if it's purely for consistency's sake, I don't think that's the strongest of arguments. Purely because
That's
there'll
the only
always be
feature.
exceptions.
Yes, and if we remove exceptions to make everything more consistent, we get less questions.
Why is this
But that's just
being
me.
questioned? Like, has there been complaints about this feat in particular?
There were questions, yes. Including companions.
And
Yeah,
you
which was
link
resolved
them?
because the answer was no, because you needed levels to take the feat.
Yeah, that was a conclusion at that point.
I think the easiest thing to clarify that would just be put in mount equal to your hit dice instead of level. And then add in a prerequisite: must possess character levels. That way we keep the not available to companions. The players get plus 2 HP. It's consistent with the other hit dice things. Very easy change.
Yeah, that's right.
But waiting.
Mm.
That, like I say, they had to me, so I'm waiting on what they say. I need to update the feats anyways. A lot of them need to be updated to mark prerequisites such as intelligence requirements or feat requirements or so on and so forth. Plus 2 HP in Syrik, if combined with a whole lot of other things, can be a concern. But ultimately, it's not too bad. Thank you. So yeah, no, ultimately I don't think plus 2 HP in the long run is going to change things. It's going to make early games a little harder to die, which in my opinion is not a bad thing. Though it's already really hard to die early game because how beefy our early game players are.
Tell that to me and Sithams who are critting 7 times in a row.
Okay, if you are rolling with DM dice, there's obviously exceptions there. If you're rolling 20s the entire game, you're going to kill some players. But if you're, not, then it's fine.
There's
No.
one more concern about Artificer and Constructed Servant is that they have an upgrade that gives them tough feat, which should probably be changed to some other feat. Like durable, I don't know. They have an upgrade that gives them plus 2 HP per hit die, and then another that gives them tough for some reason. That's just Artificer shenanigans. Yeah. This one.
I believe that's how commands already work anyways. Because you can replace your ASI to give them a feat.
And there's also this upgrade that is essentially tough feat.
Yeah, I mean, if with that feature, it wouldn't really matter because we're going to be marking tough as cannot be taken by companions. So they would be able to take that instead of tough.
Yeah, but the structure constitution gives stuff. So
And we'll just remove it then. Easy.
just replace it with a different feat, like I don't know, durable. That actually doesn't do anything because they already have all proficient, like all saving throws.
So that's the reason that we were trying to avoid having companions take tough, is so they couldn't take like the expanded frame or the companions tough and also have feet tough at the same time.
Yeah.
So they can't like double dip into the tough feet because they get a lot of ways to get tough through their class stuff.
I'm not seeing any wording in the expanded frame that's an issue.
Not in Sprite and Frame. Look up where Zyron posits structural constitution. Gains the tough feat as a bonus feat.
Ah, that one needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one needs to be updated. Alright, well, that's an easy update. You just mark that in the World Anvil updates to change tough to be. Actually, I can just change it right now. I literally have it open. As for the structural constitution, mark it to be updated. Okay. Tough, updated. I see. Well, Have we had any issues with companions? That's fine. I've already had the prerequisite to say that you must possess class levels to take this feat. So companions and pets and whatnot already cannot take it. So, the wording's been updated. What question? Yes, and that needs to be updated.
The only effect that would even affect the companion is for failed death saves. That's it. Breath control, I don't know if
Armor
Breath
would
control would be
matter.
helpful.
Armor definitely matters.
Armor would be helpful.
they don't
Death
have
veils would
armor,
be.
they natural armor.
They might want
can
armor
Unless
because
you-
you can get
You
barding.
can get barding. What do you mean it doesn't matter? We literally have an entire mechanic around
For
it.
animal companions, yes. Agree.
So,
But in the case of structure constitution, it doesn't matter.
let's see. There you are. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Stamina's a good option. There we go. That's updated and that's all fixed. That loophole has been cleared. On to other stuff. Unless there's anything else anyone would like to bring up on this. Yeah, when it comes to reworks, I'm going to be going over them once I get back to Artificer. Right now, I'm looking at finishing up Ashen and going towards Monk. All right. And just for easy access, there's a link. It's true. It's very nice to determine who's actually playing and who's not.
Well, to be fair, it's true because we saw a lot of people were like, "Well, I'm just gonna go on hiatus." And it's like, yeah, you know, you want to do that, that's cool, but it also pings us that, like, look,
There's so many messages right now. Oh my goodness.
I fucking love your phone so much. It's great.
This message cannot be reliably transcribed. Click here to listen to voicemail. Alright. I'll do that in a bit. In a meeting. Go away, phone. Yeah, the big thing with the more expensive ones, the intention is they're expensive, and that's the major drawback for them, that you need to be able to afford it. But with how currently, like, PAP works and other things, you can just basically ignore it, which is an issue. Um, and then there's obviously the first little bit where crossing with lower class is harder in some cases. So overall, the system does need some tweaking. Definitely regarding ignoring prices of the higher tiers. Yeah, definitely. Travel does need a greater benefit right now. I do agree. I did see there's the upkeep overhaul people have been working on. A lot of the suggestions there are pretty solid. I just need to implement them. But, you know, it's good to go over them in a meeting and get everyone's viewpoints on it as such. Yeah, I think now that everyone's sheets are updated and we've had our first upkeep, the system itself should be less confusing going forward, just because it's already occurred and all that. And once people have on their sheets marked what upkeep style they're going for, should be less of an issue. Because at that point, most of it can just be handled by quick little adjustments.
I mean, to be fair, what happens when you don't pay your taxes? The IRS goes, well, that's cool and all. We're gonna take your shit.
I think the phrase paying taxes isn't beneficial. I really dislike that you're paying taxes. I think it's should be more centered around the fact that this is how you're living while you're not in a game instead of having to like RP paying for every little thing,
Yeah.
like buying a coffee or something.
I mean,
I think I think this set phrase of like, oh, you're just paying taxes to the government is like not true in what it is.
Yeah. It is overall a representation of one's, as you were saying, like paying for coffee, getting drinks, getting your food, doing upkeep on your house, and so on and so forth. While there technically is taxes involved in that, it is overall more of your daily living expenses of, I need to eat. Which is why the intention to add a hermit lifestyle is on the bucket list to add, and people who are like proficient with survival to just do that.
Yeah, I personally don't like that being tied to not choosing to pay your quote unquote taxes or lifestyle, because there are various options to already get around that, but I think that's a future thing to really care about.
Yeah. Where was I? Hmm. Not paying for upkeep can have consequences, but the big thing there is if you don't want to pay, just choose the option where you don't pay. Your price is 0, which is why we have a 0-point price. I also believe that we changed that one to be so it doesn't have as many negatives, so people who don't really want to deal with the system can literally just choose and be fine. So the main thing is the ones that are more beneficial do have a cost to it, which is a player choice. The ones that are like no real benefits to it, they are more as a way to be like, I don't really want to deal with the system, mark me as this, I'm good. But yeah, no, certain ones are still far too cheap. Needs to be adjusted there. I think the big adjustment that needs to happen would be actually adjusting how PAP and performing sacred rites and so on work. What we could also do is add another option in lifestyle expenses, wherein if through RP you've purchased things like food and whatnot, and your DM who's running the RP says, cool, you can take this off of your next upkeep cost. Then we can just, if someone buys like a 5 GP steak dinner, we can be like, okay, your next upkeep is 5 GP less. So if they want to do it in RP, they can actively pay these upkeeps that way and then not have to wait for the upkeep phase. It's just like an additional option for those who want the more immersive experience. That way it doesn't feel as so much like they're just borrowing money to pay for the upkeep. Upkeep is an indication of your living expenses for the current upkeep period. So, if you're living like an aristocrat, at the end of that period, you're paying for aristocratic stuff. And you're going to get the benefits of living like an aristocrat. I mean, the meme of taxes is definitely just the community memeing about it. Essentially, when an upkeep period starts, they are setting what their lifestyle is for the upcoming upkeep period. So, upkeep happens, you are now gaining the benefits for your chosen upkeep from then until the beginning of the next upkeep period, which is why you're paying for it right then and there. This meeting is recorded. Yeah, I started recording when I popped in. Yeah. I mean, I do think if we were like, hey, if you're going to be spending stuff in RP, if it would feel better as a player that you knew that it was going towards what upkeep is a representation of, which is, your lifestyle expenses. If we had it as this is just on top of that, there's going to be no real reason for players to actually spend their gold doing this besides player purposes, which will happen. But if we make it so it is mechanically beneficial, that one will incur more RP. Just because people will have a reason to RP more than they already have. How much it will provide, I'm probably not a lot, but it's at least more than what we currently have. Because it would be an incentive to RP.
I haven't really looked too into it. Is there any incentive for certain classes to do certain things? Like, it just feels weird to me that a druid or a cleric would go aristocratic for their upkeep in general.
I know with the current system, we were wanting to have options for like different styles of players. So like rangers and druids might take the hermit lifestyle that is a work in progress. While say a wizard might take the student lifestyle that's work in progress. So various options there. So that right now there's not really an option for these classes that would make more sense for them, but there is intentions to add them.
Yeah. Okay.
But
No, I'm not, Sky. I'm not arguing that there should be a class lock. I'm saying it does make, if we're talking about flavor and RP, it does feel a little weird to provide so much mechanical benefits to aristocratic when thematically and RP wise, if you want to do something else, you would get less for it. In a way, I don't know. It just feels weird for certain things, but I think that can majorly be looked over.
Yeah, I mean, it's
just a
not going to
personal
be
thing.
not going to be like strictly class locks. It's just going to be like you need to have the survival skill to do this. No, it's not technically a class lock. It's just more likely to have a druid or a ranger be able to access that particular lifestyle. Or in the case of like a student lifestyle, you'll need to have access to linguistics, perhaps. Yeah, it's just dependent on certain things. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big things is if we can get a update to these, I mean, if, specialize them a bit more, it'll be much better. But that is a future us problem, because I don't intend to have a upkeep until probably late January or February. Just to give us more time to update the system itself. Which is good that we're having this meeting, so we can finalize some more things. All right. Any other things on this topic? And as for definitions of upkeep, that's literally on the page, the rules page for how they work. So it's already there. Upkeep period. I mean, don't really have a definition for that, but it's more of a most of the time our time drops are like 10, 15, 20 days in world. Upkeep periods are supposed to be like basically every 3 months in universe, which is why we tend to have them like every 3, 4 time drops. Yeah, I think for avoiding expenses, for those who do not pay for their chosen benefits, we can mark it as like theft because you're not paying for your food. Yeah. Explains the reputation loss, and it can explain the potential for charges to be laid against the player for criminal activity. which we already have rules for that. So yeah. Yeah, could add it to our criminal rules and just add failure to pay upkeep expenses here to it. And then what we could do for, say, some of the wealthier options, like wealthy and aristocratic, we could just have it be you have to pay to gain these benefits. There's no way to reduce it.
You're really good at disguising.
Mm-hmm. I would say on failure at the end of that. That works.
I think this is also a future problem too, but
It's definitely a
when
future problem.
when it also comes, well, I was prefacing what I'm about to say. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I think it also depends on region too, because for instance, like our Logis doesn't really care if you can't afford to pay higher lifestyles because they take after their own and they care for each other more than another society would.
Yeah.
So like saying that you want to be aristocratic and saying that going into debt by not paying stuff feels extremely weird around a region that is specifically designed against that kind of mentality.
Yeah, it will have a lot of more these issues for regions that are not the traditional feudal region.
Also, you can't be a hermit in the Dolder. You will end up dead. Period.
That.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's a future problem. But
Yeah,
that
so I think
distinction-
when we do the
just getting
upkeep
it out now,
overhaul,
yeah.
we need to make additional options for like wealthy aristocratic for region specifics.
I will also point out that if I have to roll like 170 times because you're a hermit for upkeep, I will actually fucking kill you.
We're probably just gonna have one roll per option if there are rolls required. Yeah, having more requirements like that could work too, but I would say noble origin or a noble profession slash character. Because if your reputation as a player updates to the point where you actually are a noble at this point in game, your origin shouldn't matter. You're a noble. Having some requirements like that for early game characters who are not changing at all, I think that's fine. Yeah, I think we do need a form submission for upkeep. One that be much clearer and easier to work through. Versions, you must kill things.
Well, I mean, technically, if they don't find the Eldarian body, is it really murder?
Yeah, I mean, a knight is considered a part of the aristocracy. Yeah, there's a lot of things we need to adjust, things to improve upon, but overall, the base system I think is fine. It's just the biggest issue has been the memeing, turning from memes into, oh, this is how it actually is, when that is not the case. But the rules should reflect that, which is something we need to update. But it's not something we need to update now because we're probably not going to have it until like late January or February. Just something to keep an eye on, and if we can get the community write-ups like the one that you posted earlier implemented into this, be pretty good. Yeah, that's good. All right, next topic. Oh, why they type up the feedback topic? In terms of the equipment guide, still working on it. Had a lot of delays, but I'd say I'm at this point 6 days. No, actually, probably more like 4. Yeah, because some of those are really easy to do. Say about 4 days left of work. Not saying it's gonna be done in 4 days. I'm saying 4 days total, so 24 times 4 in hours left of work. Crafting and comping complex to dive into. So with the current crafting equipment guide update, it is being divvied up into separate books. So crafting is its own book now. Equipment guide is its own book, which is a major update. It's taking a bit of time. They're also being put on World Anvil for clarity there too, as well as having all the market systems placed on a Google spreadsheet. So people who really don't want to learn any of the mechanics can literally just bring up the spreadsheet, make a copy of it so it's their own version, so they don't, because the version we're going to be making live is not editable. It's view only. But they'll be like, hey, I want to make some full plate armor. I want to make it out of bone, like dragon bone instead of iron. So they just go to the materials, grab iron, change the drop down from iron to dragon bone. Bam. It's now made out of dragon bone. All the stats are changed automatically for you. But also tell them how much dragon bone you need to spend for it. It's being worked on. That system's pretty much covered for armor. Weapons is on the list next. Because weapons is very complicated compared to armor. It's actually kind of annoying how complicated weapons are. I need to simplify them. But I'm avoiding that one. I'm right now working on magic. Still, magic crafting. So yeah, will do. For weapons, that's gonna be the big next time update. But I'm still working on finalizing how weapon crafting works. Once that's finalized, I'll send it your way so people can help out and post that up there because your guys' wizardry is better than mine. Yeah, so it's also much appreciated. But yeah, That's the thing. You can just like add all these crafting options there. It'll automatically adjust things for you. So if you don't know anything about crafting, the spreadsheet should let people who don't know anything about crafting craft. It'll also allow you to, once I'm done with it, or at least the team's done with it, because team's helping out, be like, I want to purchase this thing, automatically send it to a purchase shopping list with the cost, the weight, all that good stuff, and then you can just have a giant drop-down list of things that you're actually purchasing, so you know what you're paying for at the end. It'll just calculate the cost for you. So that's the intention. That's what we've been working on. It's taken some time, but armor's done. And armor's one of the complicated ones too. So. The current version of Artificer is technically Unchained. I would consider it the same power level as the Unchained classes at this point, but it has been updated from base Artificer. So it is a different version than one would find on the World Anvil. Actually, it does say Unchained. Look at that. It's not as powerful as an Unchained class would be, though. So I consider it still just a Artificer at this point in time. But it's on the list update, as is Oracle, Inquisitor, Finder, Warlock needs a bit more of an update. Yeah, I think those are the big ones. Yeah. Yeah, Binder update. I just want to make sure all the classes that were made prior to the Barbarian are up to date. Because Barbarian's designed for Spheres of Divinity, which is why it's so beefy, while the other classes are probably feeling a little lackluster compared to it. I want to make sure they're all updated to Spheres of Divinity systems. Yeah. But Artificer's on the list, just because while their crafting system's solid, I think they're probably one of the best crafters available. So Alchemist is probably up there too, it's just more limited. As a class, being able to help out for like the spellcasting as a combat class, they're a bit lackluster. They shouldn't be like the end all be all. They definitely should be weaker than combat classes, but it should be viable compared to other classes of a similar style. Yeah, will do. I'll give it a look. How's Cleric a better crafter now? They don't even have. Wait, did I give them those as blessings? I might have given those as blessings.
Forge Cleric can gain Artificer innovations, and they get more blessings than Artificer gets.
Yeah.
Experiments, so
okay.
They can literally just take more Master Craftsmans.
Yeah, which just outright means that they could be better. Yeah. Well,
Wizards also can make more because of their magic shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. It definitely just means I need to update Artifice to be a bit fancier then. So, Forge Cleric specifically, being potentially as good as Artificers, is not a bad thing, but it definitely needs to be something to be looked at where they need to put some serious investment into it, not just, whatever. So, like...
Forge Cleric is Artificer, but full caster.
Yeah.
And also blessings.
Yeah, so, need some adjustments there. But that's future me problems. Or future whoever wants to take on the Artificer update problems. Yeah, I mean that's why Artificer's not on my list to update until after the equipment guide update. This equipment guide update is going to be a massive update for magical item crafting, like massive. So that will definitely help Artificers out. I'm not sure what having an agile is. Yes, that is true. We will be rolling slots for players next week. It is true. And you have information on how many slots we need. Just reading through chat. Gotcha. I see. Be nice to have. Yeah, no, the Artificer spell choices need to be updated, but they do have access to the Alchemist cantrips, which I think that alone is going to make them a bit more spicy in terms of combat capabilities. Artificers can, I believe in the current iteration they don't have a enchanting book for their essence ability, so they can just be like, oh, I want this enchantment, bam, boom, done. As long as it's in the equipment guide, then they can mark it. They can't use custom enchantments, but they can just, be like, hey, I want flaming in my weapon right now. Cool, it's in the book. Bam, it's added. All right. Anything else to bring up? Things to note, since that is more of a post equipment guide update. Also, how much time left do you have, Sithams?
I no game today.
Oh, cool. And we have things to discuss.
Yeah.
Which we can do post meeting because that is story based discussion. Yeah,
As far as
we'll be rolling for slots on the 17th. Yeah, I don't think the wizard has the ability to grab the artificer innovations, which does mean that they're not.
You can still grab master.
You can still grab masters, but master is not the
Which
end all
is
be all, because there's particular artificer innovations which the Force Cleric has access to, which is merely makes them stronger because they can get more of those. But the Artificer Innovation, there's a couple of them that just outright boost your craft score or outright reduce the time it takes for you to craft. And it's only found in Artificer Innovations. And I think a couple very specific Alchemist discoveries, which is why Artificer is still technically better than a Wizard. Wizards might be able to get
Much.
more, but because
Just a little.
one discovery gives you a +5 to craft score, it's huge.
Yeah, but you sacrifice everything else essentially.
Yeah, but you become a skill monkey. That's way different.
Yeah,
You
so
don't-
they're
you
not
don't become
designed.
a skill monkey.
You're sacrificing combat power for utility.
Yeah.
You choose
it's
one
okay to
tool
not have
and you-
combat power.
I-
It's
I
okay
become
to not
think-
better
have combat
in
power.
one tool.
Real
No, you
quick,
become better in one tool. You're not becoming a skill monkey.
real quick regarding this. There's certainly some benefits. The Artificer does need to be updated, but overall, I don't think it's as drastic a issue as first appears. But it needs to be updated regardless, so it's on the docket. Yeah. I need to send you that. I still have it marked as unreads for you, Fritz. I also have things marked in Firehouse as unread, and now meeting times, which I imagine is just saying the meeting starting. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I do think that particular feature was overlooked. It still needs to be updated. The Artificer, it's fine. But is there anything else to bring up for this meeting before we conclude it and head to the admin meeting / region meeting for systems?
We had one more person sign up for staff, but I'm sure you already saw it talked about.
The region stuff's not clear. Like I say, I have stuff to bring up with Sitham specifically. Yeah. Brugia, yeah. Well, the players in Whispering Nights did stuff, and stuff happens. The intention was this was already going to be the case at the start of the Living World, but we had a very long hiatus, so we didn't actually get to this until just now. On the plus side, they didn't kill the patron, so the patron's still alive. So I don't have to delete the patron page. That's nice.
Giga Vampire.
Yeah.
Activate.
Andy actually had a good question. Did we make research shifts into stages? I don't actually remember.
They should be.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's listed on their class page, but they should be.
Okay, thank you.
So if you're working on the World Anvil, feel free to just slap that up there and update it. Anyways, I'm going to drop the recording for the general meeting and restart it for the region meeting.